So am I audible? You can use the chat box. You can use the chat box to type. Yeah, so I'm audible, right? Yeah, great. So dot 4 will start the session. So good evening, everyone, for this session on changes in the new return system. So I thank you everyone for joining for the session. So the added advantage for this session is yesterday a few notifications were issued by the CBIC. So that also very briefly 5-10 minutes I will cover that. So how the government is actually taking all the taxpayers for a jolly ride, and how tough it is going to become for the taxpayers, that also we will see. So today's discussion is basically was planned and is planned for the new or the existing return system, which is going to undergo a change from 1st of January 2021. Now, this is very important for us to understand. And why I organized this session was many of my clients and friends were asking, what is the difference going to be? Which one I should choose? Whether I should choose the old method or the new method? What are the advantages? So I thought, okay, I will conduct one session so it's easy for me to give in detail uh, the details of the new scheme, and then you can decide whether you have to go with the new scheme or the old scheme. To keep in brief, every businessman, now see, it has become it used to be a norm where if you ask a businessman about excise law, about VAT law, they will say, I don't know anything, everything my auditor handles. Now from GST, I think this has to change, and every businessman, small, big, medium, whoever it is, whatever kind of business, he should have a basic knowledge about GST, because GST has become a component of a business. Now, many of them or many of the clients or friends say, hey, that is not my domain. My domain is manufacturing or service. Accounting and law is not my domain. Why should I bother? I will give it to somebody, he will take care of it. That is true. But it is you have to understand one more thing is, even taxation has become a part of business now. When you do a costing, when you negotiate with a client, when you discuss with a client, I think taxation also becomes a very inbuilt part of discussion. So every businessman has to understand GST to a certain extent, and their decisions should be based on GST also. Like when you purchase some items, the owner gets involved with the purchases. When there is any involvement of employee, owner gets involved in that decision. Similarly, anything related to GST or legal aspect, every owner or the stakeholder has to get involved. So to start with, first, I will go through a PPT. I will rush through a PPT which will tell you about the new scheme, and then in the end, uh, we will discuss about yesterday's notification and how that is going to affect your tax outflow. And then, if possible, we can take some questions which can be actually, we can use the chat box. So there is a chat box available. So you can type in your questions. So if possible, time permits, I will try to answer that. Now, why there is a frequent change in the return system? Now you can see from the day one, the system of returns filing is keep on changing. Why it is changing? First, the government was not prepared when the GST was launched. It was launched suddenly. They decided, they had a meetings 1 year. The law was prepared. The law was actually draft law was circulated for 6 months. Then law got implemented. The final law came in somewhere in March or April 2017, and within no time it was implemented. Systems were not ready. GSTN system was not ready to tackle the return systems. And you can have the both sides. Now see, there are some sections of the experts, they say it should have been, some sections say it should not have been in a hasty manner introduced. Even though we would have taken 1 year time to introduce, even if instead of 2017, GST would have come in 2018, 2019, then also struggle would have been there, because this is one of the biggest reform of taxation happened in our country, anywhere in the world, because the kind of SSCs, the number of SSCs and taxpayers we have got in our country, it's mammoth. It is not like in any other country where you can introduce a law like this. So even though we would have taken time and introduced, there would have been problems. So earlier the better. So earlier we started, so the problems we would have known, and the system was not ready. So initially when the law was introduced, there was GSTR 1, GSTR 2, GSTR 3, which was supposed to be implemented. But GSTR 2, GSTR 3 never saw the light, and only GSTR 1 was there. So you required something, some other form to file the return. So they introduced GSTR 3B. So GSTR 3B became a manual form. Actually, all the forms were supposed to be interlinked, technology driven, and human interface was actually minimal, so that one files the form, other gets it, and other gets it, and he gives the information to the first one. So it was a technology driven form which never got introduced. So 3B was introduced, and 3B was purely manual. You had to put manual figures. Then the fake invoicing started, where some culprits in the system started misusing the leniency given in the initial times, and they started using fake invoices. So fake invoicing is you issue an invoice, you don't supply goods or services. For getting a credit to somebody, you issue a fake invoice, you just file GSTR 1, you don't pay taxes in GSTR 3B. The other person, the receiver, gets the credit in 2A, he takes the credit. After 6 months, 1 year, the person is not available in the premises. So that is the reason, if you see the draconian notifications issued yesterday, this is all connected. So how GSTR 1 gets locked now, how a registration process is going to become very, very complicated. So all those things will come to. So initially, I will go through the returns, the new scheme, which is going to be introduced from 1/1/2021. So the screen is visible. Screen is visible. I think my voice is audible, right? I think one of the participant is telling it's not audible. It's audible, right? Yeah. So I think there is some internet connectivity issues. Yeah. So basically, as I told, GST got introduced with certain procedures and returns. Output tax of 1 will be ITC for the recipient. So this was supposed to be the flow. HSN will help in detecting the blocked credits, and checks and balances was supposed to be there. So this is all how it was kept when the law was passed. So originally it was a supplier will file his outward supplies, so all his invoices will get filled in GSTR 1. Then this will flow to the recipient in GSTR 2A. Recipient has an option to either verify, validate, modify, delete. So GSTR 1, whatever supplies recipient gets, he has the powers to verify, validate, modify, delete. So he can actually tell the supplier you have done a mistake, or it is right, or it is wrong. So there was a communication link between a supplier and recipient. So if 2A, he does all these things, he has to file a GSTR 2 which will contain all these corrections or the corrected one. Then it will go back to the supplier in 1A, and finally the supplier will again see what all changes he has done. If he says okay, it is accepted. If he again rejects it, again it goes in the same chain. So there was this chain, and finally it comes to GSTR 3, which is the return, where the supplier files his return and pays taxes. So this was the method introduced in GST, but 2 and 3 never saw the light. 2A came somewhere after 2 years of introduction of GST. So what was hanging was only GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. So this is the present system. You had something called GSTR 1, you have GSTR 2A, and you had GSTR 3B. So what happened? GSTR 1 was you put your invoices, but GSTR 3B you can file how you want. Everything was manual. So if you put 1 lakh, 1 crore turnover in GSTR 1, you can even put 10 lakhs in 3B, but wait for the notice to come after a year, then you can run away. So there was no mechanism to catch the frauds. So basically, what is GSTR 2A? GSTR 2A is a dynamic form. So if the supplier files GSTR 1, it will come and sit in your GSTR 2A, which is very dynamic, like your bank account. So if somebody deposits some money in your account, it immediately gets reflected, whatever come, whatever date, whichever, if 20th, 15th, whatever date it's deposited, it comes in your 2A. It's a very dynamic form. It keeps on changing. If after 1 hour, if you see your 2A amount might have changed. So GSTR 1, GSTR 5, that is for non-residents, and GSTR 6 for input service distributor. All these credits will come and get auto-populated in 2A. So 3B has to be filled manually. There is a rule 36.4 which I'll come to. This all has to be applied manually, and nothing was system driven, though GST was supposed to be a technology driven law. So they introduced one form called GSTR 2B. So 2A was there last 1.5 years. Then they started something called 2B. So 2B, since 2A was dynamic, it keeps on changing. So suppose you have to file your return on 20th of next month. Which 2A figure you'll take? Can you take a figure of 19th of that month, or you have to take whatever is appearing on 20th of that month? So there was a confusion on what date you have to take. So they introduced a form called 2B, which is a static form. Static in the sense, from one date to another date, like from 12th of the preceding month till 11th of the current month, they will have the credits. 11th, it will get locked. For suppose we are filing for November. So from November month, so from November 12th to December 11th, whatever credit is there that you can take for November return, which is filed in December. So that became static form, and 2B will be used and auto-populated in your 3B. So same 1, 5, 6, GSTR 1, 5 and 6 gets auto-populated in 2B. Import of goods, which is coming from your customs, also gets auto-populated in 2B. SEZ imports also gets auto-populated in 2B. But your reverse charge will not come, because reverse charge is something which a receiver pays. So that doesn't come in 2B. Other than that, everything gets auto-populated in 2B and can be used. Whatever balance as on 11th is there, that balance can be used to file your 3B. Now this is the basic 2B, what it appears in the portal. So if you see, the 2B itself will actually bifurcate your credit, what is available, what is not available. So suppose you are in my profession like a chartered accountant, if I buy a motor car, so the system itself will, by an artificial intelligence, detect, okay, this motor vehicle is not eligible, and it will go and sit in ITC not available. So if you feel, no, if I am in the cab operator and it sits in ITC not available, I can shift it to ITC available. But as a system, it automatically bifurcates availability and not availability of credit for our convenience. So basically 2A is a dynamic form, 2B is a static form. So one more new feature that they have added is, now you can see the status of your supplier who is filing your returns. Now what was happening is, now you get the credit in 2A. There are so many suppliers who don't give you credit. So how you know the genuinity of a supplier? So what they say nowadays is, like banks, they have KYC, you should have a KYS, know your supplier. So before you buy anything from a supplier, you should know whether he's genuine, he's paying his taxes. So if you go online in GST portal, you'll get the status of all his returns, what he has filed till when he is filed. So if he's filed his returns correctly till up to date, so the genuinity of the supplier is known. So if you log in 2A, you will find each supplier when he has filed his GSTR1, what date he has filed his GSTR1, what period he has filed, and whether GSTR3B is filed or not. Because as per the input tax credit rules, if the supplier files his return, then only you can take the credit. Otherwise, you cannot take anyway. That is disputable, but that is law. Even if a supplier's registration is cancelled, that also now you can view. So if one of the suppliers, if his registration is cancelled, you can view in your portal, or you can go to the, you can check in his GST whether his registration is cancelled. So all those features are available. So basically GSTR 1.5, you can check all the details when, and 3B also when it's filed and effective date of cancellation. So what is rule 36.4? See, this is one more thing to tap. Or now what is happening in our country is, if you see recently last 1 month, you might have seen every day you can read in paper, he's arrested, so much of GST fraud is detected, 200 crores, 300 crores, 900 crores, 30 crores. Now and most of them are fake invoicing. So this government, what they did was, in a year before itself, they introduced a rule called 36.4. So 36.4 is what? 36.4 is they restricted your ITC. Though manually you have to do it, it is not system generated. Whatever available in 2A, you can take up to a maximum of 20%, which was in 9/10/2019 when it introduced. They reduced to 10% from 1/1/2020. So you can restrict whatever 2A credit is available, you can take 100%. Over and above that, you can take 10% for the invoices for which you have bought the goods or services, but it is not reflecting in 2A. So 36.4 is basically a rule which was introduced restricting the ITC. 10% restriction, that also in yesterday's notification, there is an amendment. Now this 10% is going to become 5% from 1/1/2021. So go over a period of time, I think, I'm sure from 1/4/2021, you cannot take any credit which is not appearing in 2A. So you have to ensure all your suppliers are giving you credit in 2A. Otherwise, you will not take the credit. You cannot take the credit. Now, how far legally it is valid or legally that is feasible? Because practically, if you really think from a customer side, how a customer can actually go and force a supplier to file his return? If supplier is not filing his return, government should go behind that supplier and they should be behind that supplier to pay the tax and not deny a genuine buyer to get the credit. Because the whole system of GST, of GSTR1 giving to GSTR2, GSTR2 to again coming and communicating to supplier that you have not uploaded or you are uploaded wrong, all this communication channel itself government has not introduced. And if government has not introduced, it is the mistake of the government. Now they are penalizing a recipient for the fault or the default of a supplier. So I think that will be challenged, but rule is rule. We will come back to that in the end of the chapter. So now you can take credit up to a maximum of 10% over and above 2A, but you should have a invoice and you should have received the goods and services. This rule can be challenged. Of course, it can be challenged. Now, this is for an example. I have put a small example for this. Now, in September 2020, suppose you have, now see, it becomes so complicated. Just because of, in our country, only some 2 or 3%. See, this is the average. If you see, till now, maybe 90,000 to 1 lakh crore is the fraud which is detected. And I'm telling over a period of last 3 years and 3.5 years. And every year average collection of 1 lakh crores. So out of 36 to 40 lakh crores collections, 90,000 to 1 lakh crore is the fraud. In that, just because of a small section of people who are doing a fraud, the whole taxpayer is being told to comply with a, it's not required, that law is not required, but we are forced to comply. It's just like a speed breaker in a road. Just because of uh, what you say, some people who are very bad drivers, very rash drivers, so to control them, speed breakers are made. But then everybody who travels in the road has to go on that speed breaker, and it is a pain. So exactly the similar way, just because of fraud of some few people, the whole GST law that gets amended, and everybody has to undergo this pain of change and procedures. Now look at this example, how it becomes complicated. Now in September 2020, you have a ITC available for September 2020, 1 lakh rupees. In 2A, only 80,000 has come. So you got materials and got a credit of 1 lakh, but in 2A, only 80,000 is appearing. So what it means is 20,000 has not been filed by your supplier. So 36(4) allows you to give 10% excess. So 8,000 plus 80,000 plus 8,000, 88,000 is what you can claim credit. So what is the balance still to be claimed is 12,000. Now in October, what happens? Again, 90,000 is what credit you are eligible, because you got the goods and got the credit worth 90,000. For September, you had a balance of 80,000 only was appearing in 2A. Another 5,000 your supplier has given you credit. So September 5,000 comes in October. October you bought 90,000, but only 80,000 comes. So totally you have got 80 plus 5,000, that is 85,000 credit in 2A. So you can claim 8,500 excess, that 10%. So 93,500 you can claim. Balance is 8,500 for, I'll tell you how 8,500 comes. Now this is how it is. Now September 1 lakh, you had 80,000 in 2A. October you got 5,000. So 85,000 rupees is the total credit you have already taken. 8,500 excess 10% you have taken. So 93,500 already you have taken. Whatever balance now is pending is 6,500 rupees. Similarly, 90,000, 80,000 is the credit which you already got. 8,000 you have already taken the 10% excess. So 88,000 is the total credit you have taken. So 2,000. So 6,500 plus 2,000, 8,500 credit is balance. Is this example clear to everybody, or should I repeat? Is the example clear? Yeah. So that's what I was coming to. Fake invoicing. This is the main reason all these return filing procedures are changing again and again. So government wants to cap and make the procedure more, what do you say, so that we enter more data, they restrict more credits, and they try to create more forms, make the taxpayers fill more forms, so that more data comes to the government. Fraud reduces, but then we have to see how it works out. Till now it has not happened. The fraud is increasing just because manual entries are there. It is not a system driven so 90,000 crores is the approximate figure. 90,000 crores is the fraud which is detected. Hundreds of arrests have been done. So now from 1/1/2021, a new system of return filing is going to start. So this is called quarterly returns monthly payment system. So it's quarterly return. So returns will be quarterly, payment will be monthly, a new beginning. So what is this? So quarterly filing of return option for small taxpayers. So over the small taxpayers will come to. So it is a quarterly filing of return option, monthly payment. Even though return is quarterly, payment has to be monthly. So GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B has to be from 1/1/2021 filed only quarterly. Payment has to be done monthly. Now, how the payment has to be done, we will come back to that. So this decision was taken in the 42nd GST Council meeting, effective from 1/1/2021. Now, who are eligible for this scheme? All the taxpayers having less than 5 crores turnover in the preceding financial year can opt for this scheme. So all the taxpayers 5 crores aggregate turnover for all their PAN, that is all, if you have got 10 branches, all the branches together, the whole PAN, how much turnover, aggregate turnover should not cross 5 crores. If you are less than 5 crores, then you are eligible for this scheme. Now, what is the procedure to opt in or opt out? Now, if your turnover is less than 5 crores in the preceding financial year, no need to opt separately. By default, if you see in the system, you would have migrated to the new scheme. So no need to opt in separately, default migration to this scheme. But only condition is you should have filed your 3B of October by 30th November. So if you have filed your October return well in time by 30th November, then automatically if your turnover is less than 5 crores, you get this is applicable for the turnovers between 1.5 crores to 5 crores. So they automatically get migrated to quarterly system. If your turnover is more than 5 crores, of course, you are not eligible for this scheme. If your turnover from 1.5 crores to 5 crores in the preceding financial year, that's why I told no need of opting in automatically. If you have filed your returns by November 30th, October returns, then you get migrated in the new scheme. If your turnover is less than 1.5 crores, if you have opted for monthly filing, if you are opted before for a monthly filing, then by default you will also be opted for a normal regular scheme from next month. If you had already opted for a quarterly scheme before, like GSTR 1 quarterly filing, then you also will be migrated to the new quarterly return system. So already if you are in monthly, you'll continue monthly. If you're already in quarterly, you'll continue as quarterly. So suppose you don't opt in for a new scheme and you continue with the regular scheme, but you decide maybe after a quarter, no, I should go to the, I should opt in for a new scheme. It is possible. So a registered person in normal scheme, he can opt in from the first day. So you have to choose that option. So that option can be chosen first day of the second month of the preceding quarter to the last day of the first month of the quarter, next quarter, subsequent quarter. So for example, if you want to opt in for July to September quarter next year, July to September 2021, you have to choose this option second month of the previous quarter, that is April to June quarter. Second month starts from 1st May 2021 to the quarter where you have to choose for quarterly, that is 31st July 2021. So between 1st May to 31st July 2021, you can log in and opt in for the new scheme, and you'll automatically get opted for the new scheme for the quarter July to September onwards. So then it becomes quarterly filing till again you choose to opt out. So this is applicable even for newly registered persons and persons opting out of composition scheme. So if you are a newly registered person or you are in composition scheme and you want to convert yourself into a regular taxpayer, for them also the similar second month of the previous quarter or the second that month, the first month of the current quarter. Now, there may be a situation where in preceding financial year or turnover was less than 5 crores and during the year you cross 5 crores turnover. In that case, you should actually, it becomes compulsory. You have to opt out of the scheme opt out of the scheme from the succeeding quarter. So for example, your turnover crosses 5 crores in June 2021, you have to compulsorily opt out from this scheme from July to September 2021 quarter. Now my question to everyone, if you have got different GSTNs, so you have got different branches, you have got 29 branches in a country. So whether, as per your knowledge, when you choose a quarterly system, whether quarterly system is applicable for all your GSTNs, or some GSTNs you can choose monthly, some GSTNs you can choose quarterly. What is your opinion? All, sir. Applicable to all. Yeah, can I get more answers? We can choose monthly and quarterly, sir. Individually applicable. Yes, Natarajan is telling individually applicable. Jayant also is telling monthly, quarterly. Any other contradictory opinion? Independent to GSTNs. Yeah. So it is basically each GSTN can choose. That means each branch can choose their option. So one branch can be in quarterly, another branch can be monthly. So each GSTN can choose what is the method of filing. Now we have spoken about the filing thing. It has to be filed quarterly, but the tax has to be paid monthly. So government wants money monthly, whether you file quarterly or monthly, but they have to get money monthly. So that is how the government works. Of course, if you tell your employees you will get your salary every quarter, then who will work? So in the similar way, government wants revenue every month to run the country. So yep. So there is a new revised PMT06 form which should be used to pay monthly tax. The tax has to be paid by 25th of the succeeding month. While generating the challan, taxpayer should select monthly payment for the quarterly taxpayer as a reason for generating the challan. So PMT06 challan has been created. Due date now every month is 25th of the succeeding month to make the payment. And in the challan, you have to specifically mention you are filing as a quarterly taxpayer. No ITC has to be disclosed in the challan. Now, there are two methods to pay monthly tax. One is fixed sum method, one is self-assessment method. So there are two methods. So we'll come one by one. What is fixed sum method? What is self-assessment method? So fixed sum method means pay 35% of the total tax paid in the previous quarter. So whatever tax in cash you have paid in the previous quarter, 35% you pay in the first month, 35% of that you pay in the second month, third month you pay whatever is the balance by seeing the actual figures. No interest will be paid if there is a short payment, but the calculation should be 35%, but no interest if for any excess payment which you might have done in the third. We will come to that example in the next slide. Payment challan for the first 2 months should have been paid by due date. No ITC to be claimed in the first 2 months. So 35%, 35%. Now here, for example, for the quarter January to March 2021, your output tax is 1,500, ITC is 500, net tax paid in cash is 1,000. So this is the return you filed for January to March quarter, where you paid net cash of 1,000 rupees. So for the next quarter, you will pay 350 rupees, 35% for April, 350, 35% for May. And in June, so April to June, your output tax liability actually for that quarter is 2,000, ITC is 500, 1,500 you have to pay. So 1,500 you have to pay already 35%, 35%, 700 rupees you paid. So 800 rupees balance will be paid in June 2021. Since if you see it's not 30%, 30%, excess was paid in 21, June 2021, but there is no interest liability because this is the fixed sum. So whatever fixed is there, that fixed if you pay within due date, no interest liability. Now, suppose it may happen in June, in April, in the first quarter or any quarter, you are a monthly filer, and then you choose to become a quarterly taxpayer. So, for example, in January to March 2021, you were a monthly taxpayer. 100% of the tax to be paid on the last month return filed. So, whatever you paid in March 2021. That tax has to be paid every month. For example, in March 2021, again the output tax liability 1,500 ITC fine. This is only for 1 month. It's not for quarter. So it's only for March 2021. You paid a net of 1,000 rupees. So April, May, you will pay 1,000 rupees. June 2021, you will pay the balance as per the actual calculation. So a fixed method calculation, everybody has understood? A fixed sum method, have you understood? There is, I need not repeat, right? So 35% you pay, balance you pay in the third month of the quarter. Sir, in case of excess paid, can I carry forward? Excess paid in the last quarter, suppose you have paid excess. The 3B what you file in your third month, the refund automatically comes to your account. So we don't know how fast or how efficiently it comes, but that is the procedure. We have to see how it works. But any excess paid immediately gets credited to your bank account. So self-assessment method. This is all purely self-assessment. So there is no fixed method. So you have to calculate your output and your input every month. And based on your self-assessment, tax has to be paid. So registered person to self-assess the tax based on his calculation. So it is all your calculation. You do not show it anywhere. It is your calculation. ITC can be considered. Interest will be payable on any shortfall. So in this case, yes, interest will be payable. So for example, in the previous thing, there was fixed 35%. Here, you have to calculate how much is your output, how much is your input, balance how much you have to pay. You can voluntarily pay that amount every month. But if any shortfall is there for that month, interest has to be paid. So registered person can pay the tax due by considering the tax liability on inward and outward. So you can take the input tax credit in this situation in order to facilitate ascertainment of the ITC available for that month. 2B will be used. So in this case, 2B can be used by the taxpayer to self-assess his tax. So what is the due date? GSTR 3B now due date is 22nd. Some states like southern states and western, that some states is 22nd of the succeeding month of that quarter. So it is, if suppose it's January to March, 22nd or 24th of April of that quarter is the due date. GSTR 1 is 13th day of the succeeding month, that is maybe 13th of April. So how can a recipient take a credit of GSTR 1 to be filed quarterly? Now the situation here is you file your GSTR 1, you file your GSTR 3B every quarter. So person who is in the self-assessment or a person who is a normal scheme who is not there in the new scheme, he may expect you to give credit in your 2B and 2A. So how you will get the credit when you are going to file GSTR 1 quarterly? So what they've done is they have introduced a form called invoice furnishing facility. So invoice furnishing facility is a form. So it is not a return, it is a form which is only optional. It is not compulsory. If you want, you can file this form. So this is applicable only for B2B transactions. So for B2C, there is you cannot file this form. It's only for B2B to give credit to somebody. So it's optional. It can be filed from 1st day to 13th day of the succeeding month. So it is only for this 13 days you can file this. It is B2B transaction, maximum 50 lakhs per month can be filed. So they have given a limit, only 50 lakhs worth of invoices can be uploaded every month. Again, to reduce the fraud so that people don't file crores together and try to shift the credit. And selective invoices, so you need not put all the invoices, you can select few invoices. So whichever recipient or the customer is asking you to upload, you can upload only those invoices. You need not upload all those invoices. These invoices will again go and get auto populated in GSTR 1. So you need not enter this 2 times. Once you put in IFF, automatically this will go and sit in your GSTR 1 when you're going to file the 3rd month. So select invoices, ITC will be reflected in 2B of the recipient. So in this facility, if your recipient wants, he gets the credit and you also upload the details. Late fee, no late fee for PMT 06. So only an interest. So when due date is 25th of the next month, if you don't pay by 25th, 27, 28, only interest will be levied. There is no late fees. Late fees is only for GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, how it is today. Interest will be levied for, again, what I told, for GSTR 3B and CMP 06 for composition. Now, what are the timelines? This is only a summary. So the first month, supplier files IFF PMT 06 for tax payment. Second month, again he uploads IFF PMT 06, that is payment. Third month, he files GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. So this is for the new scheme, first month, second month, and third month. This is the compliance the taxpayer has to do it. So if it is a fixed sum, IFF 35%, IFF 35% first 2 months, third month GSTR 1 files and 3B for the actual figures considering the whole quarter. Now there is a new option of system. So now if you see from this month, your 3B is getting auto populated. So whatever your GSTR 1 you have filed, the figures are getting auto populated in your 3B and it is giving you error messages. If you are filling up, you are actually able to edit and change it. So if you are changing, it is giving error message if the figures are different. So now it started getting auto populated in 3B. In future, if you see, this will become a non-editable field. So whatever GSTR 1 the supplier you file and the credit is there in 2A, everything will get auto populated in 3B and it will be non-editable. Only reverse charge and few items which don't come in 2A will actually be a separate column. Otherwise, everything will become auto populated and you cannot edit it. But now they are giving you an option to edit. Right, summary system generated 3B is coming. Now this is how you have to opt in for the scheme. So I have just made a screenshot. So you log into your portal, you see services. In that, opt in for quarterly return. So if you go, it's financial year, it tells down. If you see for that quarter, monthly, quarterly option is available. If you choose monthly, if you see on the right hand side, due dates of GSTR 1 is coming 11th of February, March, and 3B due dates are coming. If you choose quarterly, you see the due dates for month 1, month 2 is not there because it becomes quarterly, and it's 13th of April and 22nd of April. You save that if you want to choose the quarterly scheme. So this is how the new return filing system is going to be, where you have to file quarterly return and pay monthly. Now, how far you are going to get benefited? Definitely, I think monthly return filing tension is not there, but then yes, you have to calculate all your outward and inward. Anyway, it has to be done. So it is your business call whether you choose the new scheme or not. What about nil payment, sir? See, nil payment, if your previous quarter is, if you choose this option and if your previous quarter you have paid cash payment, you will be forced to pay that 35% if you choose the fixed sum. If you choose a self-assessment method and it is nil, you can always file a nil return. So it is how you choose. If fixed sum you choose, you have to pay that 35%. That has to be chosen when you choose the option. Now I'll come to the amendments which has happened yesterday's notifications. Now the first notification, I think already many of the SSCs have started facing who are the new registration. Previously, the registrations used to be very, very simple. And GST per se was brought in to reduce corruption so that there is no human intervention and everything is handled by system technology. Now, technology has to find out whether the person is genuine. Now, what has happened after so many of fake invoices and bogus registrations? Now, government has made a rule telling all the registrations, if it is Aadhaar verified, chances of physical verification is less. If it is not Aadhaar verified, compulsory the premises will be physically verified. Now, even if it is Aadhaar verified, commissioner can give an approval to an officer not less than assistant commissioner to inspect the premises. Now, if everybody knows about it, if option is given for physical verification, what is the consequence? We are again coming back to the olden days where inspector comes to your place and then what happens, you know. So the amendment what they have done is Aadhaar verification, if it is there, then at the discretion of the commissioner, physical verification will be done. If Aadhaar verification is not done, then compulsory physical verification will be done. Then the second is GSTR 1 is getting blocked now. So from 1/1/2021, if you have not filed your GSTR 3B for 2 months, your GSTR 1 will get blocked. Now, if you see, what used to happen is taxpayers used to file because your customers are asking you credit, you keep on filing GSTR 1 without filing GSTR 3B. So they used to get the credit, you never used to file GSTR 3B and pay the taxes. Now, what the changes they have done as per yesterday's notification is your GSTR 1 will get blocked if you don't file your GSTR 3B for 2 months. And if you are a quarterly filer, your GSTR 3B should be filed in the last quarter. If you have not filed your GSTR 3B in the last quarter, GSTR 1 cannot be generated in the subsequent quarter. So this is one major. Now the biggest change, and I'm telling you, this is going to be a big issue in GST where the whole purpose of GST is getting defeated if they bring such useless laws. This rule 86B is being inserted from 1/1/2021. If your turnover for that month is more than 50 lakhs and you have got ITC and there is no cash liability, your ITC will be restricted to 99% of your output and 1% you have to pay through cash. What a funny thing. Now see, if you have got 100 rupees as your liability, 99 rupees, even though 150 rupees is there in your ITC, they will allow you only 99 rupees. And only one rupee has to be paid through cash. So though ITC is there with you, they are forcing you to pay through cash, and definitely you will file a lot of writs will be filed now. Because such provisions, it is not, GST is not meant to bring such provisions where you will force somebody to pay taxes, and this is applicable if your turnover for that month is more than 50 lakhs. And they have made some funny exceptions. So people who are exempted from this provision, whose turnover may be more than 50 lakhs, but they need not pay this 1%. If you see that provision, if you have paid your IT more than 1 lakh rupees, in the previous 2 years. So IT income tax, you should have paid 1 lakh rupees in the previous 2 financial years. Now, if you see what all you have to see, how we are making this law so simple and easy. Who is that person? Now, suppose it's a company. Any one of the directors should have paid, one of the directors should have paid more than 1 lakh rupees. If it is partner, any of its two partners should have paid more than 1 lakh rupees. Now, for filing GST return, we have to see whether his partner has paid income tax, whether he has gone here, whether he has gone there. So they are bringing so much complication in GST law. You have to see all these things to see whether he has to pay GST or he can take the input tax credit fully. So it's a big, I'll read out that. The said person or a proprietor. So this said restriction shall not apply where the said person or the proprietor or Karta or the managing director or any of its two partners, whole-time directors, member of managing committee or association board of trustees, as the case may be, have paid more than 1 lakh rupees as income tax under Income Tax Act in each of the last 2 financial years, for which the time limit for file of income tax return has expired. So you should have filed income tax, you are exempted. If cumulatively, now see, it's becoming again complicated. Now cumulatively, now suppose I'm doing in November and 50 lakhs I cross, 1% I have to pay. Cumulatively, I have to see whether I have paid more than 1%. If cumulatively from April in that financial year till that period, if I have paid more than 1%, not applicable. So I should have paid 1% and plus in cash. So I have to calculate one more. Then it is not applicable, of course, for government departments, because for government nothing is applicable. For PSUs, local authority, statutory body. So for all this restriction is not available. Then there is a little bit stringent e-way bill. So e-way bill used to be validity 1 day, 100 kilometers. Now they have told validity is 1 day, 200 kilometers. So they have increased 100 kilometers. Now they have told the driver to be a little fast. So now you should not travel 100 kilometers. In a day, you have to travel 200 kilometers. Otherwise, e-way bill get expired. Now see how government thinks. Registration is liable to be cancelled. So your registration is liable to be cancelled if you have claimed excess ITC. So even if 1 rupee excess ITC is claimed, they have not given any monetary limit. They have told if your ITC is excess claimed, your registration is bound to be cancelled. Your GSTR 1 is more than your GSTR 3B, it can be cancelled. 86B. 86B is what I was talking about. 1% cash you have to pay. So 1% cash, if you don't pay, if you default in that, your registration is liable to be cancelled. So this is a new rule which they have got, where they have got powers to cancel the registration. And the beauty of that is they have deleted one line in that, without giving reasonable opportunity. So they can cancel your registration without giving an opportunity to you. So straight away they can send a notice, because this line was there where they should give you a reasonable opportunity to represent and say why you did not file, or what was the problem in GSTR 1, why you paid GSTR 1 was more than 3B, or why ITC was claimed more. You should be given an opportunity. Now they are told no opportunity will be given, straight away your registration will be cancelled. Now all this provision is trust building. So is it a trust building? If you bring such draconian law and draconian changes, who will comply with the law? And 36(4), that is the rule for claiming the 10% excess. What I told, whatever available in 2A, you can claim 100% if it is eligible, and 10% excess can be claimed of the eligible 10% excess can be claimed if you have an invoice received goods and services, but it is not appearing in 2A, you can claim 10%. That is reduced to 5% from 1/1/2021, and hopefully it will become 0 from 1/4/2021. So they are restricted the ITC, even though the ITC section says you can claim the credit if you receive the goods and services, and you should have a valid document like invoice. If you have this, you are liable to get the credit, but then with artificial restrictions like this, they're blocking you the credit. So if you see all these provisions which came yesterday, rather than making this a very simple tax, they are making a very complicated tax, a burden for everybody. And this is not what I think Jaitley or the people who were sitting there in the first GST Council meeting had thought of the GST to be. The main reason why this is happening in GST is, if you see the minutes of the GST Council meeting, where most of the decisions are taken in GST Council meeting, where central and state government officials come together and then take a decision. But in most of the minute meeting, if you see, bureaucrats, the officers will also be present in that meeting. And when the officers are there present in the meeting, bureaucrats are there in the meeting, what kind of advice is given by them? They will always prefer a revenue increasing method, and they will never want a tax friendly method. So if a bureaucrat will never say a registration has to be done technologically and no human intervention should be there, he will never give ideas. He always wants registration to have a scope of physical verification as well, so that there is a scope for their benefit. So any scheme what they are bringing, any changes they are bringing, bureaucrats, whenever they are involved, the spirit of the law is gone, because it is all one-sided approach. So government may be thinking in the right way, but bureaucrats actually misguide them. So that is the reason I think this law is becoming bad. But I think good things will prevail, and one day they will learn. But these are the changes which has come in. No negative thoughts about it. Definitely, I know this law is going to become good after some time. Maybe this initial hiccups because of loss of revenue, reduction in revenue, lot of fraud cases happening. They are forced to make such changes so that the frauds are reduced first. So once these frauds are reduced and revenue starts increasing, you can see the act becoming simpler is what we hope. So with this, I conclude today's session. If any questions are there, you can put in the chat box. So I'll be happy to answer related to anything related to yesterday's notification or regarding the new scheme of return filing. You can put the questions in chat box. Yeah, got an SMS saying I have been defaulted. See, what you have to do is you have to just go online, like I told in that system, opt for the quarterly scheme, submit it, you're done. Sir, can I amend IFF invoices in GSTR1? Yes. IFS goes as an auto-populated. You can amend it. Sir, what about 99% restriction in case of exports? It's not. See, it is not applicable to exports and exempt services. It is applicable only for taxable supplies. So export and exempted supplies are out of it. Luckily, till today, we don't know what is going to happen in future. Any other questions? What exactly is the export to file every month if I am quarterly? What exactly is the report to file every month if I am quarterly? Nothing to be done, sir. See, if you have got B2B and your recipient wants you to him to get the amount in his 2B, he may tell you to file an IFF, that is invoice furnishing facility. Otherwise, if you are doing B2C, you have to just pay monthly tax. So there is no form. This PMT06 also will lie in your cash ledger. It is not going anywhere. You can see in your cash ledger. So you have to just make that payment. It will be showing in 2 months in your cash ledger. So the 35%, if it's fixed, 35%, 35%, 70% will be lying in your cash ledger. Third month, when you're paying your, when you're filing your GSTR 3B, this cash ledger will be used to pay the taxes. So it will be lying in your cash ledger. So it is not going to go anywhere. So monthly taxes only has to be paid. Filing all will be happening quarterly. What exactly is the report to file? That's it. Sir, is 99% applicable for inward supply also, sir? No, outward supply. Reverse charge, no. Reverse charge, actually, no, not clarified, but yeah, it should not be. It should be outward taxable supply. So what it says is shall not use the amount available in electronic credit ledger to discharge liability towards output tax in excess of 99% of such tax. So output tax, so inward liability will not come. So if then there are chances the government will increase 1% in the. So if I am working so hard, okay, so let me see one by one. Rajesh Kannan has asked, I do purchase from SEZ with bill of entry. It's not reflecting in 2A as there is a lag in supplier end for uploading. I am entering manually in the portal and claiming ITC. This is not matching with auto populated. This will have, yes, of course. If your supplier is not uploading it, that is the irony of today's situation where you cannot help. Just because your supplier has not uploaded the returns in the ICE gate, since it's coming from SEZ, you are having a problem in getting into a future. You'll have, like you have told now, ITC, if you claim excess, your registration is liable to be cancelled. That is the new provision from 1/1/2021. Very, very, very scary. But yes, whatever in 2A should only be claimed. Only reverse charge, which is not appearing in 2A, can be claimed over and above 2A. If I'm working so hard every month for IFF, why not file monthly? See, IFF is optional, sir. If you are in B2C category, you can definitely choose quarterly scheme because no, you are not giving credit to anybody. If you are B2B and suppliers want, recipient wants, then definitely. So if you B2C category, may choose. B2B more, maybe yes. They may not be for quarterly. Sir, if there then are chances that government will increase percentage in this also, like they reduced. Government can do anything here. Nowadays they are bringing, so within an overnight they brought such a so many big changes, which is bad. But what to do? So any more questions? So how was the session? Good. Was it helpful? Very informative. Excellent. Okay. Okay, Raj Shekhar has had GST return filed by supplier, but physically I have received. I have not received the goods, but wrongly return filed. No. See, as per section 16(1) of CGST Act, you can take ITC only if you receive goods or services. If you have not received goods or services, you are not allowed to take credit. You cannot take that credit. You have to reverse it. So thank you, everyone. So it was nice joining you, and right time this notifications also came. So otherwise, actually, I would have spent another 15 minutes on that quarterly return scheme, but then I took it little fast. I wanted to take it little slow, but since this also was very important, I merged both the topics, and hopefully everybody liked it. So thank you everyone for joining this, and give me a feedback so I can correct if I have done any mistake. And we will do this regularly. If whenever there is any new changes coming, we will do this half an hour, 1 hour webinar, so everybody will be informed about it. Like I told, you should have the basic information about GST. If you are stakeholders, accountants, and for people who are there in GST, definitely yes. So thank you very much. See you again, guys. Thanks. Thank you. Bye.